Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you again for visiting with us today. For those who are new, just to give you sort of an order of events today, I'm going to go over ICAP just very briefly, of course, for those that are just joining us for the first time this month. And then we're going to really just sort of talk about wrapping up the first semester for ICAP implementation. I'm going to go over some other points for how to implement ICAP, and I'm going to also include some feedback from some other schools that have shared how they've been able to overcome some barriers. We're also going to go deeper into the definitions of each of these pieces. So again, as you have questions, you can go ahead and use that chat box. I am going to ask that we mute all of our microphones because I don't want to deal with a lot of interference. We have a lot of people that are now joining us now for our chat. So again, my name is Marissa Lightsey. I'm the Executive Director for College and Career Readiness here at the State Department of Education. And I am your technical assistant guru for all of your ICAP needs. Okay, so we're going to start off. And so this is an example from Yukon Public Schools. So I mentioned earlier we were going to really sort of talk about sort of the overview for ICAP. And I thought this was a really good graphic. I think they did a good job of kind of just showing what their ICAP implementation looks like as it is relates to what ICAP actually is here at the state. And so Yukon Public Schools was actually one of our ICAP pilots. And what they have done is they have made sure that all the pieces of ICAP are really student driven. And the core of that would be that students are exploring careers. And so as you can see, is that's really kind of the core of their whole ICAP experience here. And they have several different pieces that are connected to career exploration here. And so I wanted to show that to you all so that you could see the different ways in which work-based learning can really take place for a student, as well as career exploration. And we're going to talk about each of these pieces in more detail. I did want to point out that students or teachers, can also participate in work-based learning as part of teacher externships. And so it's been very interesting to sort of see what Yukon has done with their teacher externships. If you have any questions related to that, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect you with Yukon, as well as a couple of other districts have been able to sort of explore that as well. So here are the just a quick overview of the ICAP requirements for state law. These are the components here. So students will participate in career and college interest surveys. They have to include a written post-secondary workforce goal. They have to update an intentional sequence of courses. They must also show their academic progress towards those courses. They have to include scores on college and career ready assessments, and they have to have at least one experience in in-service learning or workforce environment. So we're going to go into each of those components and see what those mean. And so when we're looking at that list, we know that there are 3 things that a student must do every single year. And so the law says that students have to, of course, annually update or complete an online career assessment. So those are those college and career assessments. If you have experience with either of your online tools, whether it be OK College Start, OK Career Guide, or another, you know that those assessments are available. You have a list of those available for any of the students to choose from. Students will also update their career and post-secondary workforce goals. And they will also update their academic courses and show progress in those courses, meaning that there will be a space in your online tool where students will update the courses they are taking and include the grades that they have received in those courses. Now, why do we have these pieces as part of ICAP? So it's really simple. We want students to begin to take ownership of their career goals. And so obviously students will need to take an assessment every year to learn about themselves. Now, will they need to take the same assessment? No. In each of the online tools, like we said, there are several different assessments for students to take advantage of. There are career interest assessments, career clusters assessments, what they call work values assessment, and that is where a student will learn about what values they have in the workforce. Do they value more money? Do they value safety? Do they value collaboration? And so really kind of learning about what type of company or organization they'd like to work for. They also have access to what is called a skills assessment, and that's where they get to learn the skills that they have and matching their own personal skills to careers. So if they are someone who loves to present, loves to speak to big crowds, then they will learn about those skills and where those skills may find a fit in the different careers in the world of work. And so several different assessments like that that students can actually take every single year and learn about themselves. Now, we get a lot of questions about students who have taken the assessment or explore test or ACT or pre-ACT test. Yes, the students do learn about their career interests within those exams. Those are not available through their online tool. And remember that their ICAP profile is for the students to be able to participate. So it's not so much something that we want you to keep up with all these things these students have done and put it into their profile. This is a student profile for students to participate and drive themselves. And so if a student is already taking a career interest survey through the Explore test, then allow them to take a skills survey or work values assessment or a career cluster survey. Allow them to take something else that they haven't already done. That way it is reflected in their online tools as well. And of course, the last piece, students who update their academic courses and show progress. We did get a couple of questions for those of you who have a maybe a Naviance or they have a student information system where they keep track of their courses there. Those tools are great. And they're wonderful for students to keep up with that and be able to put their schedules together and talk with you through that process. What we want to do again is, I understand that the convenience would be to leave it there and then not have them have to input that information in the online tool. The point of this online tool is that it's something that they can access long after they've graduated high school. They will not be able to access Naviance tool after they've graduated high school. We want students to be able to look back on senior year or sophomore year in college or in adulthood and be able to see the progress that they've had and still be able to continue the conversation about career development well into adulthood. And so the point is that they have one space where all of their grades, all of their progress towards courses, assessment, test scores is available for them to start thinking through and putting together a career plan. And so that's really what we're asking. So it's not to provide them with double duty, but we do want to have students have an opportunity for them to have access to all of those resources there. Okay, so the other two requirements, those last two, these are requirements that students will have to update upon completion. So one of them being they have to update required state and federal assessments. Now we know that as the students complete them, there will be a space in the online tool where they can include their grades or include the scores that they've received. That may not be every year. And so we wanted to make sure that you knew that that's something that we're expecting for a student to do every year. Just as they complete those assessments, they will need to add those scores there as well. And then the last piece, students will complete and add at least one service learning or work-based learning activity, that being an apprenticeship, mentorship, job shadow, or internship activity between the 9th grade and high school graduation. For details, we do have our work-based learning web page here. I'm not going to go to that page because we're going to go into each of these pieces here individually, but I do want to make sure that you guys do know that that is available. Following our chat today, you will receive this PowerPoint, this recorded webinar, as well as the PowerPoint, so you guys can reflect back to these and share these with your team and whoever was not able to be here as well. So we're going to go into each of the pieces of the ICAP. So again, when students are completing an online career assessment, we really want to ask the students, how do they want to engage the world? And so of course that conversation afterwards is extremely important for students. Now we've heard from many of you that you have used class advisory time. Some of you are having your students complete the ICAP components during class as well. And so of course, applaud all of that. Any way that that works for your district, we encourage you all to do so. But really, many of you are having conversations with your students already. Before we implemented ICAP, you were talking to your students, trying to learn more about them and what they were interested in. This allows for that student to come to you with specific questions. So say a student takes an assessment and they learn that their top interests are in the health fields, but they never really saw themselves in nursing or being a doctor. Well, for those students, those may be the only careers that they know exist in the health field. And so this gives you an opportunity to have more conversations about other careers that are in the health field, other things that might be of interest to them. And so just a quick conversation afterwards that allows a student to really walk away with knowing something more about themselves, more about this career industry. And so it seems so simple, but we've been able to hear a lot from the districts that this is what's been very helpful and has worked for a lot of the students as well. And so really kind of asking that question when you're following up with the student, how do they want to engage the world? How do you want to change the world? How do you want to impact the world? So another piece, the students will update their career and post-secondary goals. So of course, I've taken this assessment, I've learned a little bit more about myself. Now I'm ready to set a goal for myself. So this gives students the opportunity to go through the process of goal setting. And so we know that when a lot of students graduate high school or sometimes even in college or adulthood, they may not have gone through an actual formalized goal setting process. So a lot of their goals are just sort of short term. And so long-term goal planning or strategic planning takes some work, takes some strategy, takes some conversations, and our students will need help. And so this is the reason why we have this as part of the ICAP process, to help students learn the process of setting a goal. And of course, it's going to help for them to have conversations, talk it out with another adult, whether it be their family, their parents, or you, to really think through what's the best way for me to get from A to B. And so this will allow them to have that information, input that, and allow for you to be able to see how their goal setting strategy is, what are some things that they find important, and what are some ways that you can help them get there. Oh, and I do have a question from Christy Walker asking, students must have information stored in an online tool. Does this mean OK College Start? Yes. OK College Start, OK Career Guide, those are all online tools. Yes, great question. In our last piece for engaging the world, students will annually update their academic courses. And so there is a space in your online tools where students will be asked to update their courses for whichever year they're enrolled in. So everybody should be seeing 9th grade view right now in whatever tool they're in. And they will have an opportunity to select their courses from just a simple drop-down list. And they will select the courses that they're enrolled in. This will allow the students to start asking some questions. Am I choosing courses because it's a popular course that my friends are in, or I like the teacher? Or am I choosing this course because it's actually going to connect with some of my career interests? And so it allows you to start having those types of conversations. And again, conversations that you are already having with students. You are already having these conversations with students, but it allows for them to be able to think through that and see evidence right in front of their faces. So remembering that, yes, you took these career assessments, and health careers was something that you were really interested in. You also set a goal that you want to go on to college to be a health careers professional. And so we may want to start looking at some advanced math or science courses because we know that's going to be required in the courses or in the degrees that you're choosing. Or we also may want to look at your career tech program, should you have one, and see what type of health career exploration programs you might want to take advantage of. And so it allows for that to be the individual conversation with that student, and they start to think through the connection between the courses and the programs that they are enrolled in and the career choices and career goals that they've set for themselves. So very simple conversations, but it allows for them to see that rather than just hearing that from a conversation in a hallway or something. Okay. I do want to stop here. So we do have what's called an ICAP activity toolkit. These are month by month activities and resources that can help you as a district if you're trying to think through what are some ways that I can implement ICAP for my students, what are some ways or some ideas for engaging the community. So each month, I'm going to see if it'll click on this. Hopefully it'll open it up for you guys. If not, we will get to it at the end of our website. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here is an example of one of the toolkits. And so these are just one pagers, little activity toolkits. So each of them are just one pager, tiny toolkits is what we call them. And so for the month of September, it tells you a little bit about our workforce. And so right now, you know, ages 16 to 19 years of age, these are students who are not enrolled in anything, whether it be school or they're not working. And so they have, of course, an unemployment rate of about 11.5%. While state unemployment rate as a whole is only 3.2%. And so this isn't shocking to you all. You know, you're in the schools, you're in the classroom, and you know that if a student does decide that school's just not for them anymore, they leave and you know, they don't do anything, the chances are that they are going to be unemployed. It's going to be very difficult for them to find a job. We know that many of our jobs now are going to require education even beyond high school. So even for those students who aren't interested or don't have a plan after high school, their risk of being unemployed is far greater as well. And so, so we want to make sure that we offer that statistic as well. And so again, there we are, engaging the world. So for the month of September, we've put in a couple of resources for taking advantage of assessments and kind of learning about themselves. So the month of September, students could learn about themselves, use these online tools, of course. It does have some sample ways for you to connect with families, some letters that you can send home to families. And so they're already pre-written. All you have to do is put in your information at the top and go from there. We also have a sample letter for engaging the community. So if you want some, if you're interested in some work-based learning opportunities, you can do that as well. And then of course we have some information here for sharing that on social media once you participate. Just because it says September, guys, you know, it doesn't mean that, you know, you can't do anything else. You can't do that because you've already missed that month. You can go ahead and start back all the way back to September and work your way all the way through November if you like. But these are just monthly little activities that kind of help you think through some things to do monthly with your students. And so available for you guys. You do not have to use those, but we just wanted to make sure that we provided those to you guys as well. Okay, so getting prepared. So this is students will update the required state and federal assessments. And so again, this is as those assessment scores become available, students will go into the online tool, they will add those scores. It's a very simple piece on each of the online tools. OK Career Guide and OK College Start both have them, and students are able to go in, add their scores. And again, everything that they put in is automatically captured into their online tool and profile. And so they can go back to see their progress, see how they've done, and it makes for, of course, a better strategic plan for themselves moving forward. And then our last piece, students will complete and record at least one service learning or work-based learning activity. And so we have some examples listed there. I'm going to go through each of these. So a pre-apprenticeship. So a pre-apprenticeship, we have our definition here. And so they are meant to really help students master essential basic skills before enrolling in a registered apprenticeship program. And so most of your apprenticeship program students have to be 18 or high school graduates to participate. But there are opportunities for schools to participate in what's called either a pre-apprenticeship or a youth apprenticeship program. And so it allows for students to start getting those hands-on experiences while they're in school. So I have added an example of those. One of those is Broken Arrow. And so they have worked with Mullen Plumbing to put together a pre-apprenticeship program. And so these students are able to work with Mullen Plumbing to provide high school students paid apprenticeships while earning elective credit hours to prepare them and enter the skilled workforce after graduation. This is an agreement between Broken Arrow and Mullen Plumbing. So if you are interested in doing something like this, that is going to be at the district level to work with an employer. And so that is up to you all. If that's something you want to do, here are some examples here. Dr. Dunlap is a huge supporter of this and has done a lot of great work. And there are other school districts who have done this as well, some of our smaller districts also. So if you are a smaller district and you're interested in doing something like this, do reach out to me and I can connect you with Chelsea Hunt, who is our Executive Director of Work-Based Learning and Industry Engagement. But this is what she does. She goes and she works with school districts and helps support them in putting plans like these together. So if you are interested in that, again, these links will be available afterwards. So if you want to take a look and read a little bit more into this and see if this might be something you're interested in, I encourage you all to do so. It's been very helpful for our students, and her students are able to be paid while participating in that program. So that's an example of a pre-apprenticeship program. Next is an internship program. So this is probably more popular. A lot of you are already doing this type of work with your districts and working with the community members. Usually it's a semester. Some can participate in a summer break, but I will say that we do encourage these to take place while in school, especially if it's going to be a course. It has to have a teacher of record, so it's not something that typically I would say a summer can take care of that particular component. However, we do have some employers that offer those, and not everything is always about getting a class credit or those things as well. If you have a student who has an awesome opportunity to intern over the summer, I would certainly connect them to that. One thing I'll say is that a lot of our districts will offer an internship in the fall or spring for a student, and that student will then commit to interning for that same company through the summer. And so that's why we wanted to make sure that we included that in the definition. It's not so much to say that that is something that a student would get credit for in the summertime. You would have to work that out with your district. And again, we definitely would want to talk to our Chelsea Hunt, and she can help kind of provide you with some resources there as well. But again, students do have an opportunity to participate and get some work-based learning experience with a employer. Having that responsibility as well is always great for the students. And again, it's also wonderful for them to learn and kind of ask that question: is this something that I'm really interested in, or is it something that I'm going to pass on and go another direction? And so it does provide them that opportunity, that real world experience that I definitely would encourage you guys to take advantage of. So job shadow opportunity. Job shadow opportunity is a wonderful opportunity for students to participate, even if it's just a day, even if it's just a day for a student to follow around a employer, or at least just be in that work environment to sort of learn what's expected. And so, for example, we have several students who are interested in going into nursing. But if you think about it, if you have a student who is relatively very healthy, they don't have a lot of experience with nurses, except for maybe a few times they go to a hospital for doctor's appointment or something, or maybe a baby was born or something like that. And so very different experience versus what a nurse's experience is every single day. And so allowing a student to job shadow, or at least be in a hospital, during very busy hours, and just seeing how people interact with nurses. How do they communicate? They're on their feet all the time. They're always worrying, they're always doing it. And so not to show them just, all the negative things that are associated with nursing, because of course that's very exciting. And so, but it allows the student to be able to see that, boy, it's pretty, fast paced here, or, you really have to have several different conversations at one time. And just asking them, what did you notice? What did you wonder after that? What are some things that you liked about your experience? What are some things that you could kind of do without? And it allows for them to really have some conversations instead of just, I saw this on TV and I really, really enjoyed it. So job shadow opportunity, of course, is another wonderful opportunity to get students exposed to the real work environment as well. So job shadow opportunity, I do want to say this. What makes it important is that it's not so much just an interview with a professional. It allows for a student to be in that work environment. And so I know that can be extremely challenging if you don't have a lot of workforce and don't have a lot of industry. I know that, again, Chelsea Hunt, I keep saying her name, but she is wonderful and is a really great resource, and has put together several different resources for you all, and is working on a toolkit for you guys as well, to be able to answer any questions that you have about work-based learning. But in the end, I will show you a website where she has put a lot of those resources together that I think will be very, very helpful for you guys for putting together your work-based learning programs and reaching out to employers even when you are a rural district. One thing that I say that I learned from a lot of our districts who have communicated with us is that industry doesn't care where they get their talent from. If you are a rural district, don't relegate yourself to just the employers around you. Reach out to the employers throughout the state. You'd be surprised at how many employers, especially at this point in time where a lot of our employers are struggling, of course, to fill positions with quality workforce. And so, if they can get talented individuals all the way on the western part of the state and they're located in Oklahoma City, well, that's great. That's fine. Talent is talent. and they want to know where the talent is. And so if you are interested in reaching out to any employer, don't think about just the talent or just the workforce in your zip code. Give those employers a chance who are not necessarily closest to you, because they want to know where the talent is. And so I just want to leave you with that, and encourage you all to reach out to Chelsea so she can put a strategy together for you all. So service learning. So here's a definition of service learning. I will not read this word for word. You all are able to see that. But I wanted to talk about just a couple of examples. Some of your districts already have several senior projects, or the class of 2023 projects or something like that for the school or for the community. Those are what we would call service learning projects. And so it allows for a student to work together on a team to accomplish a goal, to work with diverse individuals throughout the community, and really kind of see themselves out external to just a student. So it does allow for all of those soft skills that we know are extremely important in the workforce. And so if you're interested in taking a look at that, we do have some examples there as well. Here's some, if you're interested in just the definition and the federal service project behind that, you are more than welcome to take a look at that as well. And so again, like I said, we will take a look at the website here, where you guys can see a little bit more resources. So here is our website. This is our work-based learning website. And I'm going to click here and hopefully it'll take me there. Here we go. So our website, okedge.com. This is a very extremely helpful website where you're able to find any resources that you possibly need about setting up a work-based learning program in your school district. And so what you'll see is we have what's called business and education partnership guides. We have information on internships and externships, and then any resources that talk about our growing occupations in Oklahoma. So I'm going to go over here to business and education partnership guides. And see right here, you see several different resources that are helping you have conversation with industry, and whether that be industry that's in your community or industry throughout the state, allows you to be creative. We have everything from glossary of terms. So if you're interested in the specific terminology or definition of each of those pieces that I talked about beforehand, you are welcome to do that. We even have an employee skills rubric, so that allows for students to identify which skills they will need to focus on when they're developing a work-based learning group. And then of course, assessments, anything that you can think of, we do have that available right here. And that's right under business and community, business and education partnership guide. So you guys are welcome to have that resource. Encourage you guys to take a look, and it's extremely helpful for our school districts. So of course, we have several different implementation examples. And so several different implementation examples here. So I'm going to go to this website here, make sure it pulls it perfect. So in the past, in the last couple of years, we were able to pilot the ICAP process with about 74 school districts. From those school districts, we learned about 3 emerging themes that they had for implementing the ICAP process. We have put those themes together here in our implementation examples and cleverly named them option A, B, and C. So what you'll see here are the several different ICAP frameworks that are recommended from our ICAP pilots. Now, again, you have complete freedom to do whatever you like when you're implementing your ICAP. But if you are a district who, let's say, is doing some things that are college and career readiness related, but not really sure how it relates to ICAP, and sort of looking for a framework that's going to kind of give you a standard procedure moving forward, then I would encourage you to take a look at these ICAP options or these implementation examples, and then seeing what example fits your district needs individually. And so if that's what you're interested in, you're just kind of looking for that, I would encourage you guys to take a look at that. So of course, there are several different ways that ICAP can be implemented. And so I wanted to include those here. I won't go for those word for word, but I did want you guys to know that those are available in the website. So you guys can take a look at that. We do have our ICAP Toolkit. And so this is what I would call an ICAP Webster dictionary. So this is everything that you could possibly need for putting together your ICAP. And so, ooh, looks like it's, do that here. Here we go. So if you are a district who is interested in just sort of putting together your own ICAP process and not really needing a lot of direction from us or from other districts, then I encourage you to take a look at the toolkit and use that to build your program from the ground up. This toolkit was written by 10 school counselors here in the state. They participated in the ICAP pilot process and they put this together, and they put together any sort of resource that you could possibly need for putting together your ICAP. And so they have legislation there. They have everything as to why you would need your ICAP. They did, and you know, remind you the implementation timeline. And of course, some different trends from other states if you're interested in looking at that and seeing where you are. And then they broke it down to about 6 different themes. And so part 1, of course, is getting started. So it tells you about forming your ICAP leadership team, of course, developing your own plan. If you are a strategic planner and you want to see how in which the ICAP could help your district accomplish several other things that you have going on or other initiatives, I would certainly encourage you to take a look at the ICAP Toolkit, because it does give you some resources and some ideas if you're thinking about that. So if you're thinking about ICAP for really the bigger picture and how this is going to help you move forward strategically, then I would certainly take a look and use this ICAP when putting together, or this toolkit, I'm sorry, when putting together your ICAP plan as well. Okay. Oh, looks like I got. Oh. Moved it over. So sorry.
That little projection screen at the bottom. I got right there. Right there.
There we go. Okay, and I'm going to get to where I was. So sorry. Okay, there we go.
Quick review.
Quick review. Okay, and so of course we've already talked about our ICAP implementation frameworks, but I wanted to include that there as well. We did talk about our ICAP activity toolkit. So really there are 3 types of toolkits, and I'll go through that again. So your ICAP toolkit, again, if you are trying to put together your program from the ground up and you want to start planning strategically and accomplishing other things that perhaps maybe your district would like to accomplish, then I would definitely use your ICAP toolkit for planning your program really from the ground up. If you have, if you're already doing something related to ICAP and you have several activities that you would just want to make sure to mold within the ICAP requirements, then I would certainly take a look at the implementation frameworks. These will be great and ideal for districts to be able to see what framework meets their needs and start to go from there. If you are a district who is starting from scratch, you have absolutely nothing planned right now, and you just want to make sure that you're on track, we have put together what we call the ICAP activity toolkits. And so I showed you one earlier from September, but I'm going to show you this is where all of them are. And so if you went to okedge.com, you'll go to educators, and then you will go to ICAP toolkits. And then right here, so here's that ICAP toolkit, the big one. Here's your implementation examples. And then here are each of those monthly tiny toolkits that I talked about earlier. And it takes you all the way from September all the way to May. Okay, so if we were to look at October and November, sorry. So October and November, this is when we're talking about FAFSA. So of course the FAFSA application opened in October and it's going on through the rest of the year. And so it does have resources for connecting with your families and having conversations about financial aid planning. We have resources all the way down to middle school as well. We do have, again, that sample business letter. And so some districts, I just read one district plan, they reached out to a local bank manager or a financial manager or accountant, and they came to speak to parents about building a financial aid strategy as well. And so very, very helpful for them. We also have what's called the Oklahoma Money Matters team. This is a resource that is available in Oklahoma, and they provide you with classroom resources, but they also will come out and do trainings as well, and they can come to your schools also. So if you guys are interested in any of that, that is all available in our online or activity toolkit. So you guys are welcome to take a look at those things as well. I did put the links to each of the online tools, so OK Career Guide and OK College Start. They're available here for you guys to review if you have not already done that. We do have our online learning platform. This learning platform, again, is intended for you to start creating communities virtually, connecting with businesses, educators, and parents to start having conversations about career pathways. And so when we say career pathways, we're meaning how are ways that, my student is interested in being a nurse. What are some ways that they can get access to a career in nursing or prepare for that, and they are from Godibo, Oklahoma. And so what is the best way that my graduates in Godibo, Oklahoma can become a nurse in Oklahoma? And so it allows for you to start building together those career pathways there for your students. And here are all of our resources here. Our website is here. I did put a link out to our ICAP toolkits. If you have not already, please sign up for our newsletter so that you can get all the updated information. Do like our Facebook. We do put a lot of information there as well. And I did want to end here. So many of you, actually all of you, should have received a survey. Your regional accreditation officers are going to be coming to your districts in the spring, and I do not have a date yet for your districts because I understand that that is happening by RAO. They will have their own schedules, but they will be coming and doing their routine checks, and on that check will be the ICAP. And so those things that we talked about earlier, those 5 components, those will be what they are checking, and they will be able to use your online tool reports to be able to do that. So as long as your students are completing their ICAP pieces within the online tool, their progress has been captured in the online tool, and that is where your RAOs will be checking. In preparation for that check, I did send out a survey that we will need to have completed. If you as a district have not completed that survey, please do so. That will allow for me to be able to see where you are in the ICAP implementation process, and we can go through and talk through some last minute things that maybe you're working on that you want to make sure you get your completed, or some things that you have some questions on. So again, those ICAP requirements, again, those 3 that will be done every year is your career interest assessment. They must update their goal. And they also must update the courses and the grades they received in those courses as well. And so those are the 3 that must be done every single year. And so that's what we mean by annually updating your ICAP components. And that is what is written in legislation as well. And so we tried our best to put that in plain language also, because we know legislative language can be difficult as well. And so what we have here is just a quick survey that is asking you just your name, district name, phone number. We want to know who is leading ICAP in your district. We'd like to know which tool you're using. And then here again are those 3 activities. So online assessment, updated their courses, and then they have updated their post-secondary workforce goals. And so we want to know by this year, we want students to be completed all 3 of these, of course, because these are just 3 quick little activities that they'll be able to complete in their online tool. Many of the districts who've completed it so far have done that and have been able to complete that. So if you have already, thank you so much. We've been able to see that. We want to know how your district is implementing ICAP. So students are completing ICAP activities independently. Students are completing ICAP during a class period. Students are completing ICAP during advisory period, or if there's another way that you are implementing ICAP, we're interested to see that as well. We do want to learn about something unique or something that you're proud of that you are completing with ICAP. We're very interested to learn that as well. So if you'll put that there. We want to know what barriers you have. So be real here. Be very, very honest. We want to know what those barriers are. What might be large barriers to you might not be hard for us to help you think through. So, I mean, put any and all barriers that you can think of there. We want to know those things. And then, of course, we want to know what resources you've used. So if you're on this webinar, you've obviously attended a webinar, and if you've gone to any workshops and things like that as well. We want to know what levels of grade levels are participating in the ICAP. And then, of course, we do want to know how we can help you all as well. So please check anything that applies here. We will be following up with you with resources, phone calls, or anything you can think of to be able to help you and provide you with support. So it's very important to us that you guys be as honest as you possibly can, so that we can provide you the resources that you need. So this is not to check up and shame anybody their ICAP process. We know you guys are doing well, and we want to learn about the process and how that's going so far. And remember, this is our first year implementing ICAP. We are the envy of many states who would love to have a statewide career advising program. And so you guys are really the leaders and the champions throughout the country right now. There's not very many states that are doing what we are doing. We are very fortunate and blessed to be able to have a robust higher education as well as career tech system that is available to us. And we're very fortunate to have 2 free online tools that our districts have not had to pay for at all to be able to lead this work. And so, of course, a huge thank you to the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education and Oklahoma Department of Career Technology for providing us with those free resources. That's really been a game changer, I think, for a lot of our districts as well. And so with that, I do want to stop for questions. Some of you guys have asked some questions along the way, and I've answered those. When you ask your question, I am going to answer to everyone. And so if there's anything that needs to be private, just save it until afterwards, and we will get to that. I am going to, while you guys are thinking of your questions, I'm going to try my best to share this. I'm gonna try to, there we go. Okay, I just put the link to the survey there. If you guys have not taken that survey already, please do so we can have that information for you all. Okay, so first question, does shadowing at a career tech fulfill the shadow requirements? So shadowing at a career tech, I'm assuming you're meaning going and touring the career tech programs. I'm probably not the best person to ask that, so I'm sorry. I will provide you with Chelsea Hunt's information so she can answer that question. And I'm gonna go ahead, actually. Here are our email addresses here. This is our contact. So Chelsea Hunt, who is our Executive Director of Work-Based Learning and Industry Engagement, she's the best person to direct that question to. Okay. If you have questions about graduation requirements, other courses, how do I fit ICAP into my master's schedule? Petra Woodard would be the person to ask that question to. And then, of course, myself, anything related to ICAP implementation or, all those questions, of course, can be directed to me. And if I'm not the appropriate person, I will direct those as well. So if you're not sure who to direct your questions to, feel free to send it to me. Okay. Are the state assessment scores required to be entered for 7th and 8th graders, or is this just a high school requirement? So great question. While ICAP by law is a high school requirement, so begins in the 9th grade, for those of you who are implementing the ICAP starting with your 8th grade students or 6th grade students, we do have a space there for them to implement or input their scores as well. I will say, you know, for sure, if you are starting at the middle school level with ICAP, make sure that your middle schools are on the same page as high school about your online tool. We certainly don't want, you know, one tool to be here and have to, you know, feed into another. Okay, so I had a question about internships or what qualifies as internships. So yes, Chelsea Hunt will definitely be your contact for that. She is currently working on updating some forms to be able to help you guys think through what would qualify for an internship. I will say that currently right now, and I'm gonna see if I can try to get to that space. We do have a space here for internships, and we do have FAQs for internships. So if I would definitely take a look here, I'm gonna put that here for everybody. And so this is an internship FAQ. I would take a look here and see if your questions can or cannot be answered here on this FAQ first. And then if you still have some questions, reach out to Chelsea Hunt. She is available to answer any of those questions. Okay, anyone else? Okay, well, if there is nothing else, I thank you guys again for visiting with me. I believe tomorrow will be another, there will be and I'm gonna try my best to try to not tell you wrong. There will be another webinar. It will not be from myself, but I believe Chelsea Hunt is doing that. Oh, not tomorrow. I'm sorry, the 21st. So in a few days. And so this webinar will be from Chelsea Hunt. And she is actually going to be hosting somebody from Chelsea Public Schools. They are talking about how they, as a rural district, were able to put on an ICAP career fair. So if you guys are interested in all and work-based learning, I would sign up. You can sign up right here, and I'm going to send that link to you guys as well. Here's a space for all of our webinars. And of course, this one will be, these are all of the recordings of our past webinars. So I will add this recorded one today there as soon as I receive that. And then we'll add all of the other receiving. So there are a couple of other webinars for you guys to take a look at. One of which being in a couple of days, the ICAP Career Fair from a rural school. And then also Chelsea Hunt will be managing this next one in December. Beverly Woodrum, who's the director of the Born Mentoring Initiative. So you'll be able to hear firsthand perspective on the importance of mentorship and a component of work-based learning as well. So two different components there for work-based learning. If you have some questions about that, I would definitely sign up for those webinars. Like anything else, when you sign up for the webinar, even if you're not able to attend, you will receive feedback or some follow-up materials afterwards. So I would sign up anyway. And that way you will know that you will receive some follow-up materials also. So thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your day. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.